Great rising, grand rising sunshines. Welcome, family. Welcome to today's discussion on Machiavellianism. Beware, Black folks. Beware of what we don't know, what we don't understand about our world around us. Let me start by talking about what made America great. What makes America so great is our Constitution. And the
Unknown caller.
Hold on. This is probably the person I'm trying to get in touch with for the video. Hey, Michael. Michael.
I don't want you to present. Well, I wouldn't want you to present it.
Yeah, I kind of caught them off guard, so they're not ready yet. But I'm gonna start by talking about it, and then I'll let him, whenever he can chime in, delve into it more. But we are not educated on what a certain other group of people already know or know. There's a lot of things that we haven't been privy to or can grasp besides just trying to survive and live. And we've been kept in that perpetual situation on purpose, because it gives others a way of easily living or easily acquiring fortunes by having problems and issues. If there's no problems and issues, there's no capitalism. There's no way to make money off of a situation. And when we look at who's in power, who has the power to change our situation, and when they have the power to change our situation easily, we know that the elites, and we know that these elite families are Jewish, most of them, and they have the power over the media, Hollywood, and in your minds as well. Because when you look at religion, religion is a very stronghold for people across this broad spectrum. And that's something that on my channel here, I try to get us to get out of, because religion is a constraint. It's a lie. Um, it's a program. It's something that replaces something that is natural. And for some reason, that always happens. Something natural that comes natural to you, that you naturally have, that you don't know, have knowledge of, usually someone can come in and cover that up with something artificial. And what happens is you don't have that connection. You don't have truth. We don't have the truth. And truth is power. And with that, when you're void of truth, someone can come along and take advantage of you. And that's what happens. And that's what has happened. They separated church from state, but you can't do that. The Constitution is a natural, ancient document. And that's what makes America so great. United States of America, right? We understand that the United States is federal government. It's an entity all to itself. America is made up of the people. The Constitution protects the power of the people. That's what makes America so great. Because we're a democratic republic, democratic meaning federal, democracy is all the banks, capitalism. The republic is ruled over the ancient document of the Constitution. So, being that the republic is controlled by the democracy right now, well, not right now, we're a republic, but artificially, the democracy was allowed to come in, the federal government, and artificially rule over the republic. So we see all over the planet how the democracy tries to infiltrate these countries and into becoming a democracy like we are here. But that democracy is at problems. It hasn't been smooth. It hasn't been a good thing. It has been nothing but problems. It has created wars because that's something they need. It has created people's way of life not being, people not getting the things that they need in life. It has created, because all across the board, all needs should be met. All needs should be met. But because, as we see it, there's certain group of people that need those issues and need you to be in problems. They need to have something to try to solve, and more than likely they don't get solved because it's conflict. It's a continual battle and conflict over something that should be so simple. But it can't be simple, because if it's made simple, simplicity, then there's no way that people can eat off of the weak. The strong can't eat off the weak. So when we look at, let me see, someone was asking me, well, why do you think that, how does civil right affect the Constitution? That's what they were asking. Somebody was asking me that. It affected the Constitution because it infringes on another group of people's rights in a way. And it adds it's a conflict against the Constitution and against the natural order of life as well, humanity. Like when it forced integration upon the Black people, it forced us to be integrated financially, economically, in with a group of people that our situation, our problem was not resolved ever. The best way that our problems could have been resolved besides integration and creating segregation, because segregation was created situation. You wouldn't have ever had to worry about integration or segregation if the situation wasn't created, period, for us. But that is a artificially created situation, a problem, the problem that I mentioned a minute ago about how a problem had to be created. And placing one group of people above another group of people that are very much different was the problem. That some people who had this money and had the power and had the foresight and had the interest in doing so, they did it. And to this day, they still are doing it. So if you don't understand the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and you don't understand the Constitution, that the Constitution was built upon the ideologies of ancient Black Indians, of ancient.
Sometimes you need to take
Hold on, this thing is getting in my way.
a moment for yourself. Instacart is here to help take grocery shopping off.
Of ancient Black people on the planet. It is not just a Caucasian thing. So let me see, we understand that we are the mothers and fathers of civilization, but our lack of knowledge of ourselves is a serious issue, because it can be made to take advantage of us. And it has been made to take advantage of us because we've been taught in school the wrong information. We've been taught the horrors. We haven't been taught the truth. So they tell us about slavery, and we got to question why they tell us about that time and what does it really mean? You know, especially when you put the Holocaust before that, you know, and you talk about the Holocaust as if it deserved more attention than what happened to Black people in the United States, in America. So one has to think, who's behind that truly? I do not think it was the poor whites necessarily, because poor whites couldn't afford slaves. And many of them were like slaves to their own, had slavery experience in England, in Britain. Because, you know, the ones who were considered peasants and stuff were mistreated greatly in the livelihood, the way they lived and everything. So, and then when I talk about the Machiavellianism, that very much was part of it. So let's get into Machiavellianism first, what that is. Let me get it pulled up. Okay, let me see. And we can see Machiavellianism in some of our governors, and and definitely see it in Chuck Schumer. You can see it in Joe Biden versus what we saw in Trump. But they paint him out to be the worst picture. And here we go. And it's probably why they never did call him a Machiavellian. But let's look at it. Let me fix it here. Let's first look at the definition, then we look at who it came from, right? And why. So the definition of Machiavellian is it's a cunning, scheming, and unscrupulous, especially in politics, a whole range of outrageous Machiavellian maneuvers. A person who schemes in a Machiavellian way. Okay, let's say. They said also try Machiavellian leadership. Okay. They say, what makes this effective leadership? Machiavellian advises that an effective leader can use his position to gain special perks. He supposes that very often the ruler must decide what is good and what is bad, and do evil rather than good if it benefits him. Okay. What does Machiavellian really mean is what they want to say. Okay, ask. The word Machiavellian has come to invariably refer to an unscrupulous schemer for whom the ends justify the means. Notes the animated TED ad video above, a description of characters we love to hate in fiction, past and present. Okay, who are the Machiavellian leaders throughout history? Who are these leaders? Okay, they say Machiavellian works have influenced many leaders throughout contemporary history. For example, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Vladimir Putin are all Machiavellian leaders. They applied his concepts to their power, therefore helping them to rule more effectively. What were the Machiavellian principles? Let's look at the Machiavellian principles. Machiavelli's principles of leadership, speaking primarily to the prince and principalities of his time. Machiavelli said that a prince should present the appearance of being compassionate, trustworthy, kind, frank, sincere, credible, faith-filled, courageous, generous, and pious ruler. So he should fake the funk, basically, and then power over the people, tower over the people. Let you know what's right for you and what's good for you, as if you can't make these decisions yourself. He doesn't leave it to statesmen, because the statesmen represent the power of the people as a whole, making the decisions. But how can we have this type of government anymore when our people have been indoctrinated with so many different things, so many other thoughts? We got liberals and then we got conservatives. So what are we to do? What are we to do? You know, I think I consider myself a majority conservative. I say majority of me is conservative, but I'm liberal. I'm in the middle. I'm not overly indulged in either one. You know, I don't think. I'm kind of in the middle. So this wouldn't work for me. This right here telling me what to do and faking it with me, I can sense the fakeness. So this guy Machiavelli, he wanted the appearance. He wanted just for you to look. And who more is good at making things look like something that it's not than Hollywood. Hollywood is good at that. So he was very much a stageman. Machiavelli, this leader, this prince or king or whoever he was. I'm not going to get much into him. You can look him up. But this is what type of leadership I feel that we are dealing with now with Biden. But it's not Biden who is in charge of things. Biden is going to bark the orders, but Biden's already brought. He's already brought. Hey, welcome, Akia, woolly hair sister. What's going on this morning? This sunrise, this great sunrise. We're not in mourning. We're not crying. We're not in sorrow over lost souls. We're in joyous times. We're in joyous times because things are being revealed. I'm going to get into this video too. That's very important as well. You may think, what does this have to do with anything? This guy was spilling a whole lot of tea about the unknown. About the unknown. And everything's a piece of the puzzle to the whole of our knowledge. So I'm definitely going to share this video. But this is just a little taste of the Machiavellianism that we must beware of. And when we allowed a foreign group of people to come in and give money to our cause, which was the civil rights, which if you can't put it together on how the civil rights comes in and kind of pushes aside the Constitution, it's an artificial rights that we never really needed anybody to fight for us for. What we needed was knowledge, and they knew it. And the ones who backed the civil rights were the Jews. They backed the civil rights. And actually, civil rights end up working for not just us, but it works so more for the Jews, and it works more for the female, the women, white women. Now, white women didn't need rights either. Like we didn't need either. We didn't need, as a Black woman, I didn't need feminine rights. And as a Black woman, I didn't need, because I had the Constitution document. We all have the Constitution document. But because we're not educated on that properly, problems that a foreign people came in to create so they can infiltrate the government better is what we were given. We don't even know that we are the original people on this land. And that we do have a connection. We're original to all land. We're original to all land. There's no just Indians. In America, there's Indians all over the planet. Indigenous people all over the planet. But they have, it goes back to race is a construct, and it goes back to what the deeper issue really is, the truth really is. And I don't want to get too far off on it, but I think it's a good video to share with you guys because he was really going into it really deep. So let me see if I can find that video again and share it with you guys. Let me go to his thing and see if I can find
fibers
it like
being cut.
Let me find it like this here. Okay, I think this is it.
This is Dabu 7. And in the past year or so, we've had the U.S. military, different divisions.
Okay, hold on. Because this is really good information on what the deeper issue is. I talk a lot about the Galactic Federation and how we're extraterrestrials, and we are. But he's going to explain it in a way that you can understand the soul. With the soul, how important, when I talk about the soul is the extraterrestrial. The soul is the entity, and we're deeper than that. And you'll get the gist of it. Just let me share the screen here. You get the gist of what I'm trying to say. But this is just a little piece of it, just to get your mind off of the constructs that we've been given, so that you can understand what I'm saying deeper,
coming out making
better,
big statements about UFOs.
and not just thinking about the surface.
Call them what you want. These are not the type that have little green men in them, so to speak. I'm talking about the types that our government are whipping up. Where they got all this technology and all that is debatable. And we can track this back to fallen ones and so on and so forth, deals with governments and things like that. But we know that scientists have been working on things like this since World War II. Since we saw the Vimana, or the disc-shaped aircraft that had swastikas on them that was described by Admiral Byrd when they were talking about the interactions that were ongoing around Antarctica. This brought in a lot of talk of anti-gravitics, the propulsion and all that stuff. And here, just this past summer, they dropped many different clips, almost like breadcrumbs on the masses. Like, are you paying attention? Like, we're dropping the stuff out here and we're telling you, we're giving you daytime footage over the ocean, broad daylight of these things zipping, and we can't catch up with them. And then they're not saying anything about it. No more information as to who may be controlling them, things of that nature. And when you look into this, in this newest piece here that has been unraveled, this connects into it in the same way, technologically. And this has to do with a bunch of inventions by this Dr. Salvatore Cesar Pius. Now, he was this aerospace engineer that worked for the U.S. Navy. And he has all of these different patents connected to energy and weapons, and it ties into what they call the Pius effect. And this Pius effect, I feel, is very interesting, but it's also related to a project named the High Energy Electromagnetic Field Generator. And it contains hundreds of pages detailing all of this. This is very, very interesting stuff, because when you get down to the bottom of this, it starts talking about this Pius effect. Well, this is where you can basically change the stream of energy into different states of matter. Okay? Controlling the motion of electrically charged matter from solid to plasma via accelerated spin or accelerated vibration under rapid yet smooth acceleration, deceleration, transients. This will set off this effect. This goes right into the talk of anti-gravitics, all the propulsion, and everything else we've tapped into that's been leaked out. We know that these craft are out there. To me, these are interdimensional craft when it comes down to the ones that are vanishing. The ones that are just flying around, they may not be. They could be flying around at super high speeds, supersonic high speeds. But some of these, no doubt, are interdimensional. This is where neutrino light comes into play. We know about this from those that have sacrificed everything, even their lives, to get this information out over the years. Neutrino light is very special. This is the blip of white light that you will see anytime a real UFO disappears right in front of you on footage. What it's doing is it's stepping in and out of a dimension. When this happens, it gives off a burst of white neutrino light. They have been tracking this for a long time, and they are tracking this via satellite. They have been. And when they pick up a blip, say over America in Montana, they know one either came in or went out. They don't know which most of the time. So this is why they dispatch helicopters to go search the area, and you see military choppers scouring the area. This is why, especially if they think one came in. So this goes all the way back to the days of Roswell, and why the craft in Roswell was blown apart to begin with. They were tracking these things same way. Same way. And what they did, after trying to shoot at them a zillion times and not being able to hit them, they were able to materialize an object out in the desert. They never divulged exactly how, but they were able to do it. And what they did is when they detected this thing within seconds, and with AI and everything they had at the time, decades ahead of itself, of course, they materialized this thing out in front of the craft. The craft hit it, and it blew it to pieces. One of the most damning things that's out there that they can never take back is the footage from Roswell, where the guy that's trying to sit there and show you, or he's in the pictures and he got all the material laying on the ground, right? They said that it was a weather balloon with a piece of paper in his hand. with today's technology shows a whole different story. Talks about bodies, talks about the whole nine of everything, talks about the real story, and it was right there in his hand. This has been exposed many times over and over again. So it shows that the weather balloon thing was a cover. I'm wondering, is the government finally going to come out and divulge some information about that? Well, where they're taking this is not good. To keep this short, and I'll finish up on this talk on the next live stream. Everything is moving up into this echelon of space. This is where the great show is going to be. So get ready. Okay? And it's in my opinion, they're going to turn this whole world against the Most High, coming in, tricking them all, making them think that it's a bad guy coming, when the bad guy's been here the whole time, locked here, the fallen. You better get to know it. It's been Dabu 7.
But I think, let me see here, because there's one of his videos where he's talking about the energies and stuff like that, which is important. So let me go back here.
This is Dabu 7.
Let me pause this. Shrink this so you can see where I'm at. Okay, I'm gonna go back. He was really getting into the and I can't find that one. I guess he kind of got into that, but he was talking about plasma and the other one. No, I'm on his. Okay, let me see if this is the one where he was. Let's pause that. Well, he did get a little bit into the unknown, a little bit into the what I'm always speaking of is the unseen world, the spiritual world. What we call is the ether. We call it outer space, but it's the world where energy exists. Well, it exists all over the place, but high energy. That's high energy that we are, our souls. And he spoke about the generators and some of the knowledge that the military has in their hands now. And in understanding all of that, we can know what that's about, you know. But when it's disclosed to us, we'll have an even better understanding of ourselves in conjunction with this information. So all we can deal with now is the physical and the surface stuff, which is the laws that were put here for us to live a productive life. But the wicked that he's talking about, that is here on the earth, would love nothing more than to have us as slaves, basically, and controlled people, when we have a document and we are a republic. And notice how they use the race thing, and notice who uses the race thing the most. And notice what side is using the Constitution. What side is pushing the Constitution? And know that that's probably the side that Black folks need to be with. We need to be the side of these ancient documents that were handed down. Who told us that the treaties weren't kept? The treaties are actually incorporated within the Constitution. And all these treaties, not only the treaties of the Indians, but also, okay, here, I'm going to share this with you guys too as well. So let me go on and get this off and get this fixed up here on here. because I broke it down where our ancient documents as well. Okay, we see the Native American government. Okay, here we go. Okay. So it says the Native American government. Hold on. I thought I fixed it. Oh, I gotta stop that again. I'm sorry, guys. And fix this on here. Let me fix this. Okay, here we go. We're on the right page now. Let me just enlarge it. I think I did that. Close this. It's taking me out now. Oh, open up that. Open that. Okay. So the Native American government that inspired the U.S. Constitution. The constitutional framers may have viewed indigenous people of Iroquois Confederacy as inferior, but that didn't stop them from admiring their Federalist principles. When the delegates of the Constitutional Convention met in 1787 to debate what form of government the United States should have, there were no contemporary democracy in Europe from which they could draw inspiration from. They didn't have none. The most democratic forms of government that any of the convention members had personally encountered were those of Native American nations. Of a particular interest was the Iroquois Confederacy, which historians have argued wielded a significant influence in the U.S. Constitution. What evidence exists that delegates studied Native governments' description of them appear in the 3-volume handbook John Adams wrote for the convention, surveying different types of governments and ideas about government. It included European philosophers like John Locke and Montesquieu from U.S. history textbooks have long identified as constitutional influences. But it also included the Iroquois Confederacy and other indigenous governments, which many of the delegates knew through personal experience. You had the Cherokee chiefs having dinner with Thomas Jefferson's father in Williamsburg. And then in the northern area, of course, you had his Philadelphia interaction with Delaware and the Iroquois, says Kirk Kickingbird, a lawyer member of the Kiowa tribe and co-author with Lynn Kickingbird of Indians in the United States Constitution, A Forgotten Legacy. Since the U.S. had trade and diplomatic relationships with Native governments, Kickingbird says thinking the Constitution framers weren't familiar with them is like saying, gosh, I didn't know the Germans and the French knew each other. Similarities and difference between the Iroquois Confederacy and the U.S. Constitution. The Iroquois Confederacy was in no way an exact model for the Constitution. However, it provided something that Locke, Montesquieu couldn't. A real-life example of some of the political concepts the framers were interested in adopting in the U.S. The Iroquois Confederacy dates back several centuries to when the Great Peacemaker founded it by uniting 5 nations, the Mohawks, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Oneida, and Sinca. In around 1722, the Tuscarora nation joined the Iroquois, also known as the Hodgensoni. Together, these 6 nations formed a multi-state government while maintaining their own individual governance. This stacked government model influenced constitutional framers' thinking, says a professor of transnational studies at the University of Buffalo, member of the Yamasee Nation and co-author with Bruce E. Johnson. The constitutional framers cite the Iroquois and other native governments as examples of federalism. He says, marriage and divorce and taking care of right in the village. It's not a thing that the national government or chiefs have to do with. Each tribe might have its own issues, but the Iroquois Confederacy is about unification through mutual defense, and it conducts foreign affairs. The chiefs of 6 nations were hereditary rulers, something the framers wanted to avoid, given their grievance with Britain's King George III. So they didn't like that monarchy. Still, the framers did seek to borrow aspects of the Iroquois government that enabled them to assert the people's sovereignty over vast geographical expanses, since they found no governments in Europe with these characteristics. An exemplar of liberty. So Grind and Johansson write an exemplar of liberty. Okay. Congress formally recognizes Iroquois influence. The fact that many of the framers looked to native governments for inspiration didn't stop them from viewing native people as inferior. This disconnect is evident in 1751 letter, the Benjamin Franklin describing the need for 13 colonies to form a voluntary union, similar to that of the Iroquois Confederacy. It would be a very strange thing if 6 nations of ignorant savages should be capable of forming a scheme for such a union and be able to execute it in such a manner as that it has subsisted ages and appeared indissoluble, and yet that a like union should be impracticable for 10 or a dozen English colonies to whom it is more necessary and must be more advantageous, and who cannot be supposed to want an equal understanding of their interest. Okay. The United States bias and violence against Native Americans may have helped obscure the framers' interest in their governments. However, public awareness of this connection increased around the 1987 bicentennial marking the 200th anniversary of the Constitution. Oren Lyons, who was faith keeper for the Iroquois Confederacy, went to Senate Select Committee on Indian Affairs and broached this subject, Grind says. And then I went down to Washington and testified before the Senate Select Committee on Indian Affairs. This motivated committee's chair, Daniel Inouye of Hawaii, to help Congress pass the 1988 resolution formally acknowledging the influence of Iroquois Confederacy on U.S. Constitution. In addition to this recognition, the resolution reaffirmed the continuing government-to-government relationship between Indian tribes and the United States established in the Constitution, and an acknowledgement of the legitimacy and sovereignty of Native nations in their governments. Yes. So this is how you get recognized. This is how you're recognized. You see, it's through our sovereignty, is through the Constitution. See, everyone is recognized through the Constitution. So what is seeked is control and power over you in a Machiavellian style, like forcing medical upon people, which I feel Obamacare does. It's like if you don't have care, then you have to pay taxes. You know, you have to pay taxes on the fact that you don't have medical care. And that is, or you have to pay a penalty for not having medical care. So when that is a need that should be supplied to each citizen. And this is why they say that it's very, very critical. Right now, what Trump has done is he has laid it out for states' rights. He has played the chessboard where we can come in as a people and take our power through our states, local government. That's how we are going to have power over the democracy, the Democrats, the capitalism. Because then on a local level, that's what affects the people. We can have our medical situation resolved on our own through our local governments. We can, because they're nothing more than reps for the people. So how can people be terrorists towards their representation? You see what I'm saying? If you just don't deal with those who are calling the people terrorists, that are turning around on the people and saying that people are racist and are terrorists, if we're dealing with our own lives in our own states and protecting ourselves, then why do we have to deal with them on the federal level? Because they're on the federal level making the money off of us and not really resolving any of our problems. But Biden is wanting to be, he wants to be president, but he's not president. Obviously, he's a puppet. So being that he is this puppet with some bug in his ear from the elitists, because he's already bought and sold, but we don't know God who. But we know that his movements are controlled, and he's not giving the people the power whatsoever. And he's going to be up there making all the decisions, and they're going to make all the he's already made the decisions. He filled out so many executive orders that it's crazy, and it's affected a lot of people. So now all we can do on the chessboard is to get involved in our local governments and make a change there at that point in our lives. So that's where our power lies now for a republic that is under a democracy. And that's the only way we're going to protect ourselves and ensure that we're going to have a productive livelihood. Because right now, they're putting out, now that we have this this issue with people getting sick, but people are not dying at a high rate. But yet the media will tell you differently. It's conflicting the truth over the truth is not a lot of people, 99% of the people are surviving. And but they're making like it's a large percentage of people in the hospitals, and that all of that's been done through mainstream media. And they push in terrorism, and they push in domestic terrorism. So no longer is my question, do we have domestic terrorism in our government? The question, because now they turned around and made the people who this whole thing's supposed to be about. It's the people and our livelihood and our care. But we're terrorists for caring about our quality of life and wanting a better quality of life. But it's so obvious when they push, the last year of Trump's presidency, they push upon us a virus, and a virus that was talked about in the past, that's been talked about and been forewarned about. I don't know how you can forewarn people about them getting their individual bodies getting sick, but it's, people can do that, I guess. But the whole thing is, it's obvious what is going on. And we've been given an out, but people are talking about, over here they got us looking at racism, something that the people made exist because they were moved on the chessboard to make it happen like that. So there's nothing you can really do with the minds of those people that choose to be racist, choose to be a certain way, because people are easily influenced into ignorance. And that's just the way it's been. I mean, there's some people that just they're easily influenced into anything. And unfortunately, that does exist over those who are trying to problem solve, those who are trying to get to a higher level and get, so even so, there's always a problem put forward that doesn't get solved. And when you look at racism can be easily resolved. It can easily be resolved. But no, the people, the elites, they give the money to a select few of people for a certain reason. They would never give money to Black folks because they want to keep this perpetual issue of racism up for us, because it makes them money. They can live off of it. They can kill people, because that's what Machiavellianism is. It's also involving killing people and thinking it's okay. Let me pull up. I'm actually going to show you all that because that was his leadership. Machiavelli's leadership. I'm actually going to try to see if I can find a video that's going to talk about Machiavellianism. Okay, this video talks about him.
Unknown caller.
Hey.
Let me just start off by saying that I'm not recommending anything.
Hold on. I'm trying to fix this real quick. Let's see. Gotta share this again. Dang it, how do I do that? Okay, that's it. Okay. Okay. Let me see if I can find another video on this guy here.
The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. Dedication to the magnificent Lorenzo di Piero de' Medici. Those who strive to obtain the good.
Let me see. Okay. This is a shorter video, so I'll let this one go.
A nation-state can either be a republic or a principality, and either old or new.
Oops. Hold on.
An old hereditary state that has been passed down the generations is easy to rule, but taking control and then holding on to a new state is difficult. The difficulty is reduced if you personally supervise it. An old hereditary state, such as a monarchy, can be taken by destroying the entire royal family. This is what Alexander the Great did to conquer and hold on to the Persian Empire of Darius III. However, states that are used to freedom must be crushed. For those who are not yet princes, it is possible to rise to become one by carrying out 2 steps. Follow the example of those in the past who saw their opportunities, and be well armed. To keep hold of a new state securely, all resistance must be destroyed by using cruel, swift and firm methods, but then benefits to the people should be given gradually. A prince must win the favour of the people and dispel any hostility, but he will only be truly secure when he can raise his own army to defend against all comers. Mercenaries cannot be relied on, neither can other people's armies. To be successful, a prince must read history, study war, and know his own land. He must give the appearance of being good, but also know how to be evil. He should not be afraid to be thought of as mean, as giving liberally and spending freely will lead to ruin. He also shouldn't worry about being thought of as cruel, as fear is one of the only things he can control. A prince should be willing to use cunning if needed, and deception if necessary. He may or may not be loved, but as long as he is not hated, he is secure. Fortresses are of little use, as even though they can be used to defend against outsiders, they do not stop you being betrayed by your own people. A prince must be purposeful, determined, and unwavering. He must clearly follow one path or another. He should encourage art and craft, commerce and agriculture, entertain his people with spectacles and festivities, rewarding those who honour his state. Only capable servants should be used by a prince, and he should keep them under control. Anybody who flatters must be avoided. Machiavelli claimed that the once powerful princes of Italy lost their power not through misfortune, but by their own inaction and indecisiveness. Fortune directs half of our actions, but the other half is left for us to direct through hard work, cautiousness, and virtue. Fortune needs to be beaten and dominated. It is often like a torrential river that cannot be stopped, but during periods of calm, preparations can be made to control and minimize the damage. Machiavelli concludes by stating that a leader is needed that will follow the advice in the book, to conquer Italy and free her from the barbarians.
Well, that's Machiavelli. Okay, so you want to, let me see, let me fix this back here. Talk about the Constitution a little bit and how it is constructed. I have up some ancient document information. Let me see here. Okay, you can go ahead and talk about your part.
Well, from what I was just listening to, I mean, when you say speak, you know, I'm definitely looking for a core, I guess, foundation to have you know, to have a topic. So when you say the Constitution and now speak. And
Mhm.
I'm like, well,
No, basically how it's formulated from ancient documents.
yeah, a lot that goes on with the Constitution
Mhm.
or with our society basis, definitely off of the Romans. And the word ancient, when people say ancient, something comes to mind, visual. So that word needs to kind of be guarded a little bit more, because I think ancient has a, when people say ancient, they relate it to sacred as well. So it's things that are considered I guess older, where I wouldn't necessarily consider them ancient, because like I said, we you have Rome, they call it ancient Rome, and that doesn't if from what I have gathered on that society, that they had ways that may not have been held as being, sacred, more than they're just, they were there, those are things that were put into play. But it kind of like goes to the, nothing new under the sun thing. So, the
But
Constitution.
but also it depends on what part of ancient Rome you're talking about, because before it was a part of Egypt. It was just another part of Egypt before it was conquered. So it was really ancient before, and it had the indigenous people there as well before the conquering took place.
I was about to say, I like how you related ancient to indigenous. See, now that's sacred. You know what I'm saying? See how like when you bring that up, and I'm glad you said that, because I had heard things about that, because I have a friend who's really into. I'm not so much into I am very, but I'm not. But when you talk about geographical history, and some of the exact, what we're going on. And that's what one of my friends, that's his big thing right now. Like, definitely studying land and studying the people who inhabit the land, and who did they get the land from, and who did they get their customs from.
Right.
So I have a friend that's into that. So when you say, Rome was ancient because, it was a part of, whether, geographically, whether it was part of, that's, the word that took from, that I took more was when you use indigenous, to have indigenous people.
Right.
And that's kind of where you could start at, because when you have indigenous people, being conquered, you would to say the least, the people that are conquering them are usually jealous of them.
Exactly.
They're usually jealous of, the peace that they have in life, and they're like looking at them like, you should be oppressed like me. You should be so some of these documents that we have today are based off indigenous principles, along with their slave mentality that they want to project onto us.
Exactly.
And that's why it goes against, like, natural, order, a lot of things. So, and that's why, like, documents like the Constitution are holding, they're holding the weight that you have to hold with the Constitution has to be with your life nowadays, and how you stand. It can't be off of what rights are supposedly allowed by you through someone else, or through an entity, or, an organization.
Like Chuck Schumer and them, they're trying to.
Who is this? Who is this again?
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi.
Schumer?
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and the people in Congress. The people over the House and all that stuff. Well, in government, they're trying to enact laws upon the people, just like when the Jews backed civil rights, something that they brought to us to us, and along with integration, trying to tell us it's better to be integrated, influencing us into integration, was a part of them wanting to infiltrate the natural order. It was a way of them. And then someone was asking me the other day on, well, what does civil rights have to do with, well, how does civil rights affect the Constitution? That's a good question. And it's obvious on how it is affecting, because now it's calling everybody a racist terrorist. And when the order, natural order, should have been, we should have been set equal. We should have been separate but equal. We should be separate but equal.
And that's a lot of, because you can't bump the race sometimes. You may have people that just have different ways of living.
Right.
And they look the same. That's why I said it was a jealousy that came to form, that would allow people to, attempt to oppress, someone with their way of life. And that's why when you say you go back to the ancient, you bring up indigenous.
Mm-hmm.
That's every man is indigenous to this plane of life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Every vessel.
Exactly.
So the only thing that we do to make ourselves unindigenous is, I guess, first when we put clothes on. That's a far cry, but basically when we play in Rome, when we decide to play in Rome, we are no longer indigenous. Mm-hmm. It's like an artist that's a freelancer. Mm-hmm. You're independent. You're indigenous. So independent, indigenous, look at the etymology, indigenous is I-N. You're I-N.
So in a way, you're saying until we decide to take on democracy, because democracy rules over the republic.
But it truly starts with oneself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was in a store yesterday. It was so crazy. Mm-hmm. First off, this is my first time on your platform. Is this the way that you want your conversations going freely, like this, or you want to stay on subject, or are we allowed to?
No, I usually let it flow, okay. But because my whole thing is the little piece subject I pull is a part of the whole. So yeah. How can you get off topic really? Unless you're talking about something totally different, but everything is connected. That's the thing about it. Everything connects. People may not understand that, but things connect.
Okay, I was just making sure, this, it has a good, mm-hmm. in admiration of the way it's flowing, the vessel is. But I'll say that I went to the store yesterday, and like I said, the key to what we were talking about is it starts with yourself. Mm-hmm. And the lady, as soon as I could get in the store, I had my mask on. I don't really know, so I had the mask on when you get into all that. Mm-hmm. Before I could really get to the store, she's like, "Take your hood off." And then this lady's always, kind of oppressive, and then after that, I'm walking around to go and handle my business. Then she's, "Put your mask on." Now I got to tell her, if you don't, I had to, get stern with her, get mm-hmm. away from me.
Yeah.
You need to get away from me. You need to, this, and the third, and then she gets into her little piece. I said, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about, but you need to govern yourself."
Exactly.
If you're gonna, if it's come down to the point where you're oppressing, because what people don't realize, and this is the unnaturalness of things. What people don't realize, this is why police end up having to shoot people, because when you go and you're trying to police somebody and oppress somebody, what you're willing to oppress them with is the same thing you need to be willing to die for, because that person may be willing to die for you oppressing them.
Exactly.
So people don't think about that. So you are in there oppressing me over, 7-Eleven. Are you willing to truly die with that? Half of them are not. Half of the things that people are truly willing to go hard for and kill for, they're not willing to die for. So it truly starts, like I said, with governing, yourself.
Exactly.
Because that's, I don't want to get into a tangent, about that, but where the Constitution, drop back into place because, like I said, when we go to indigenous independent people, we're all indigenous independent, so we decided to play in Rome. I decided to play in Rome by going in that store. So I really put the cuffs on myself.
Exactly. Yeah, that mindset. Yeah. You entered that mind. That's why I say each state is a state of mind. Because it's who's governing over that state. In these days and times, they see it as power over the people instead of utilizing the people's power. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am. It's getting to the point where you can't, like how you said, they want power over the people, but not the but it's supposed to be the power of the people.
Exactly.
But we exchange our power for money.
Democracy, for capitalism, the federal government, yes. But if you take the federal government out of the republic from covering over the republic, then it would be the people's power. That's why I was saying getting involved in our local governments, becoming that people power again, and stop allowing the representatives to be brought and sold,
but that's true. But the representatives that are truly in there
Ooh. Hold on, y'all. Bear with me. Just bear with me. I'll get them back. I had to charge it. That was my fault. Sorry, I gotta call him back here. My phone went dead here. So let's look at this real quick. While I'm waiting on that, I'm going to share. We're going to look at what a republic is. Okay, it's coming back on here. And why it's good for us to think the solution for us as Black people is probably settlements. We build our own settlements. Yeah, I got you back. I'm sorry, my phone went dead. I wasn't prepared, so that was my fault. So finish where you left off, and then I'll get into the definition of republic with the group, and then I'll talk about my solution for our whole situation is if we go into settlements and we have our own little settlements. I'm probably going to go to Williamsburg and do a video of this old way the settlement was set up and everything. They had their own little stores and everything, and that's like a great example of a settlement. Because you see, the Constitution protects settlements, right? Like it protects the Native Americans. It protects the what you call those people that live off of the land and stuff.
Sovereign.
No, yeah, they're sovereign, but they're called something. They're the Amish and the Quakers.
Oh yeah, Amish people.
Yeah, see, it protects them, and we don't have the education to know that it protects indigenous people. It protects natural people of the land, and that's what makes America so great in itself. Is that we have a choice to be in the capitalism, that system, that under the democracy. We have the choice of being under the Democratic Republic or just being under the Republic. Right? Am I right? Or am I confusing?
No, I'm listening to you. I was listening. You know, as a listener, or a speaker, you got like I said, you have two ears. You got to listen as much as you speak. Then when you release the ego, it's like, okay, well, you're not speaking as if you know everything, or you're not speaking, or that's what I'm attempting to, just as I become as the vessel becomes better at relaying, it has to can come out of it, but
because knowledge is power, and the knowledge that I'm getting is that the way to be free is to be republic, is to come out of the democracy, have settlements, self-sufficient, to separate.
When you say that, not but as you say that, because you asked the question about the I'll get involved in our local government,
right?
That what you're really saying is people becoming their local government.
Yes.
So many.
Yes, becoming our own local government. We have to do that. Yeah.
Because if we go through their platform and even vote somebody in, or it's down a third, that's already it's like how I was explaining to you about artists. Artists is a freelancer until signs a deal. Now he has his message has to be unless he's dealing with somebody that's. But if that's somebody that he's dealing with, they're dealing with somebody that's that's bigger than what I'm trying to say. See how I say once you start dealing with somebody that's dealing with somebody, because they're gonna be dealing with somebody, because they're gonna be dealing. Not yours. So then your message will be it will be tainted. It has to be, because it could be something as simple as fried chicken that you're talking about, and somebody 10 times down the line could say, well, that's not what I agree with in some type of way. And you don't even know this person 10 times down the line has something tied into what you're doing. And then on top of that, they might not even be willing to tell you what they, what I'm saying. Then you have somebody 10 people away trying to sabotage your career, and you don't even know who or where it's coming from, but it's coming from the inside.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Stuff like that happened to Malcolm and Martin, and even Jesus, because if you look at Jesus, how it came from the inside with him, and the story. That's what was the story. But people have to realize, the strongest platform, a lot of times, and when I brought up Jesus, from what the story is, Jesus knew that the sacrifice he was so that's a stretch one, but I was saying that it's still a symbolism to let you know that sometimes things come from far away and come from right inside far away, and just by you dealing with somebody that deals with somebody that deals with somebody that so like attempting to making sure that you keep your that's when you talk about the local government. The people have to definitely put their chin up, stand up, nice and firm, nice and tall through the the power of the source. Your vessel has to be erect, and you have to begin to walk and talk that.
Exactly, I agree 100%.
That's the only way that
and like you said earlier, people are not willing to die for that. freedom.
Mhm.
You know, they're willing to oppress, but they're not willing to really die for it. But I saw a group of people that,
Bullies.
you know, that when they, did you see when they stormed the Capitol?
Yeah, I was there. I was inside there, but I was going crazy.
Oh, okay.
I'm
So,
playing with a joke. You're supposed to
yeah,
laugh,
man.
boy.
Huh?
You're supposed to laugh. It was a joke.
You're so silly.
You're so stupid. You were in there. I didn't see one black person in there, except the security guy. He was turned.
Yeah,
He was part of it. It's Carl Winslow looking back.
yeah, I know, right? But they, I mean, some people died apparently in there, you know, like that one Air Force girl that got shot. But I mean, they didn't have weapons. I mean, you know, but the whole thing is now that's used because they didn't think about their energy and how they use it. Of course, they didn't know any of that. So they went, instead of dealing with it the proper way by firing the government, and I guess they felt like they didn't have power or they didn't have control to really do anything. So the best way was to storm it and to let them know, to get their message out. Those group of people.
They're supposed to storm
it seemed like they were enjoying themselves more than they were trying to do anything, though.
No, that's what I was saying, because if they knew, if they were like really, the only thing that sways perception, the only thing that truly that's looking to create the only thing that enforces what I would call our society or some of our dogma a lot of times is the media outlets.
Yes, the media does.
So whether back in the day it was the newspapers, or go ahead.
It's how people are easily influenced. They know that there's people out there that are so easily influenced, and they put that stuff out there like that, and then they want to blame Trump for it, but it's really the media. It's been the mainstream media the whole time. They're ones that influence the people by pushing at their anger. You know
that's what I was going to say. Like,
but they don't see it that way. They see it. They blame the people instead of taking responsibilities. They still never take responsibility from all the lynching of the men. The television never took responsibility for that, making that movie that started all the lynching of black men in the country, because they put in the minds of white men that their women were endangered by the black men. And they never, ever take any responsibility for any of that. But yet they can put it on Trump because Trump is trying to go against the grain.
No, that's what I was trying to tell you. Like, that's the story. What I'm getting at. You know the story, basically. If they really wanted to make any type of effect, that's how you know it was off a show.
Yeah.
Then and that's why, you know, when you even bring up those are Trump supporters or all that, you know, I wouldn't, you know, I don't want to be too much into none of that, but
I don't say they're Trump supporters at all. I don't believe they were. I think they were just people either paid some of them were paid to be there, and some of them just got caught up in the moment. Some were influenced. That's what I'm saying, like, through the media to be there.
You're doing if you're going to be out there doing that, then, or if you know anything about anything, you wouldn't storm the Capitol. You would storm CNN. You would storm Fox News.
Exactly.
And if the Capitol was that easy to get in, I could only imagine Fox News. And if you were taking all those papers, and you know what I'm saying, if y'all want to go on, you know what I'm saying, do anything. So that's how you know that the only thing that they wanted to do was to make a show.
And to affect the constitutional rights of the 7 million people that voted for Trump, because they were in the process of hearing the Constitution being put to work when they interrupted abruptly by trying to get in. See, people don't mention that, how the Constitution was being spoken up for in chambers right at the time that they infiltrated the Capitol.
Man.
Because I was watching both.
But what were they putting in place with the Constitution? Like, what was it?
Well, they were talking about, they were bringing forth that the states wanted to recount. They wanted to take it back to the states to redo the counts again for the election. They weren't going to seal it that day. So whose side do you think it would have worked better for the Democrats? It would have worked better for the Democrats if somebody did infiltrate the Capitol. So it did. Just like the virus conveniently works out for the Democrats, because they were able to have fraudulent ballots sent.
Listen, that's why Trump looked so defeated at the end of when he was telling people, basically, calm down. And it seemed like he didn't have it in his voice. You couldn't hear it in his voice because he got caught with the swap out.
But he's not. But he's not defeated. That's the thing about it. He's not.
No, listen.
Yeah,
listen.
I'll listen.
They told him to say. He had to get on the news and basically calm stuff down. Remember, like when that stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to him. And I was like, why does he sound like it's like he doesn't even know what's going on?
He didn't know what was going on.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm saying. He sounded defeated. Like he sounded like, I don't even really know. He got caught with the swap out. Like they make it look like it was something that he had going on, but he had what he had going on. Like you said, he was in there trying to get the recount. He was doing what he was doing, and they pulled the switcheroo on him.
No, he was actually making a speech. He was getting ready to do his speech. He hasn't even started his speech yet. His speech started it. His speech started. Huh?
Were they speaking on behalf of the recount for him, though, right?
Yeah, they were speaking on the recount for him inside of chambers, but he was doing a rally down way like a few miles down the road. He was doing a rally with his supporters. So how can his supporters be at the rally and then be at the Capitol?
They said they marched down there or something like
that. No, it was different times though. It was he hadn't even started the rally yet. When they were they were about ready to try to get the vote recounted by states, send all the votes back to those states, so they can look into the fraudulent. So now they're saying, how dare you all say that it was fraudulent? Anybody that says it's fraudulent, their social media is taken away. So now they have the power to call you a terrorist and call you all this stuff now that they then achieved all this.
Censorship.
Yes, they achieved what they wanted to achieve, which they got the constitutional rights of the people, 7,000 billion people or whatever, million people that voted for Trump. They got the rights of those people pushed to the side. Now they're considered racist because Trump is considered racist, okay, to everybody now. Everybody, they use the race thing, which is valid in a way, but on the other hand, it's a smoke stream to take away our rights so that we can get murdered out here. That's why I mentioned Machiavellianism. That's worse than any racism. Because
can I bring up a key point?
Yeah, go ahead.
What they're doing and what kind of killed the Constitution's privatization, and that's a word that gets lost. Nobody even talks about that word because private business and private things, these things, directly affect your rights.
Exactly.
And being so is that, all right, you can go inside of a Family Dollar right now, right? And as a black male, they'll tell you leave your bag in the front.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go into the store, and this is where the violation comes in. But if you're a woman and you go into the store, they don't tell you to leave your purse in the front.
Right.
But we can also go deeper. If you're a gay man, cross-dressed or whatever you got going on, you have a bag, they're not going to tell you to leave your bag in the front.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
You got to become they want to influence you to become something other than your royal natural self. They want, like, if you're white and you get all these rights, they want to influence Black me to want to be white, to change my hair blonde, to take my eye color away, to become less of who I am. They want you to become influenced, to become gay, because then that you see that you get gay rights. You get special rights if you're lower in life than being your high God self. That's just the way it is. It's a trap. It's a snare, a trap and a snare. But then they want to say that, you know, yeah, these people deserve, those other people, yes, they deserve the rights they have, but it infringes, when it infringes upon my rights, it's you know, it's still wrong. That's what makes it wrong.
I was listening to my friend speak yesterday. He spoke on Joe Biden making a statement that he's putting a bill into pass for transgenders and this, that, and that, right? Yeah. And it was so baffling to me that they've forgotten all about okay, I'm gonna just name two, but they've forgotten all about felons, the rights of a felon, and then you forget all about the rights of the people that's outside, that slept outside in that cold, harsh weather yesterday. We worried about that, but you know, so like I said, all the people that's cold out there, they're like, sure, I'm about to go become gay or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, that's what I'm talking about. I'm getting at being influenced to become something less than what your natural God self is. And they don't let you know that that is lesser. They just flaunt it on the TV as if it's better, as if something is better to be, and give it more rights so that you can be influenced to turn into that thing, that entity, and be less of who you are. It's better for them because then there's more control that they can evoke over you, because you become something else. You're transformed into something else than your natural self if you come out of your natural state. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I'm listening.
You sign up for it, and it's the same in the spiritual world. They can regenerate you through your children. You do regenerate we regenerate through our children, but are you going to choose the influences of the world around us that want us to do certain things or be certain things? Because it's presumably better than your natural state. And we hold the souls. So that's a way of trying to rob us of what we are, our soul, our true self. Because that's energy. And being that we're energy, you cannot kill energy, you cannot destroy energy, but you can control, in a way, you can control that energy. You can, if you can control the vessel that energy is in, resides in, basically you can affect it in some kind of way. And I think, I just played a video of the guy that was talking about UFOs and how the government was able to get it metabolized in the Oswald situation when it crashed in New Mexico. They were able to get it to become metabolized into a metal form, hard form, physical, into the physical, and then they destroyed it. You see what I'm saying? They had the weapon to do that.
You said they were attempting to do what now?
No, they had the weapon to. The guy was talking on the video.
Metal to.
Yeah, the UFOs. You know how they are not metabolized, right? They're not physical.
Okay.
So the government back then, what they did was they had a weapon, and they made it, when they caught this UFO, they were able to make it metabolize, make it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you basically They have,
and then they crashed it. They shot it down. Was able to.
So yeah, they have things that could see basically the atmosphere. That they have, but you got to realize this is the home of the prince of the air.
Right.
And
the wicked rules the air. Yes.
Yeah, and that prince and them people, they do exist, and they are at all times, watching and hearing and listening and can see all types of things. That's why and I don't even call them people or whatever, That's when we speak on things, you that's a big property of this realm is the spiritual warfare of freedom and oppression. Or,
right.
And notice how I said spiritual warfare, because it's like maybe the body, like you was speaking on I guess you were saying like this things outside of it, but when you the body looks to be a lot of move and fluidity.
Mm-hmm.
And fluidity. That's the word. With the source, the source of it all.
Yes.
And the constitutions and different things directly, for society or a lot of things directly, go and it doesn't go with it; it goes against it. So a lot of times with that and it seems to be that basic duality property. That's why you shouldn't. I'm not gonna get into all that, but that's the basic duality property of this realm. So that's why I come to see that, like I said, when we talk about when we mentioned about even going into that store, as soon as you indulge a lot of times in different things, like as soon as you say, and we pass these, and that's why, it does seem like, it's a stop, and the mindsets of people are becoming more and more and more and more independent because to the point where people are almost wanting to come up out their house and go live on the land.
Yeah, we do. We do. Because integration was a very, very bad trap for us. And that's what I mean by we need to recognize that and see that it's not for us. It takes everything, takes away from our nature. It deprives us of our natural. And this is what we should be aware of now, living in these days and times, that we are a sovereign people already. We just need to take on our sovereignty. And you know more about sovereignty because you understand that walking into a store by it alone, it's not just a paper that we have to get our sovereignty through. It's understanding what our sovereignty is. Am I right?
Yes, it's definitely the way you're saying is definitely, key. That's why like I said, people, their mindsets are becoming more and more independent, and like I said, to the point where it's like people are like now almost want to go live off the land, or it's like because these things that we pass down to our kids are killing people, and it's basically stress.
Exactly.
And the stress is of the air. You understand what I'm saying? That's
exactly. Because the wicked is ruling our airs. They're controlling our airs. But the spiritual world, what they had did was in New Mexico is they made the spiritual world into the plasma to form into this physical existence, made it physical when it came into him. And it was a wicked thing that they did. And because these things are spiritual, these earth things, these UFO things that are flying around, it's us. It's nothing more than us up there. So it's us in a spiritual sense. It's our energy. When we leave the body form, we go into different times, different dimensions. That's the spirit world. And the fact that we don't have enough information or understanding about these things, it's like ignorance has ruled taken over our minds. And this is what they want. They want us to be ignorant and not knowledgeable about the truth about ourselves.
But
And
it has a lot to do with us because, okay, nobody tells us to, communicate the way in which we do or receive information in the way in which we do.
But they do the programming. You got to give it that. They have the programming and the education systems that have closed people's minds to the truth.
Yes. But I'm going to give you something. If you go into a store right now and you walk past someone, sometimes you guys give the nod to each other without even speaking. Or like, it's so much communication that goes on without even paying attention to. Without speaking or whatever, that we haven't realized how much we are telekinesis. That muscle that we have is so weak, but we use it without being conscious of the subconscious that we're using telekinesis.
We do. I did it yesterday with a Chinese girl. She was in the back cooking, and I had my head down, and I guess the man was trying to get my attention. He could have spoke through the microphone, but I looked up at her, and she was talking to me, but I couldn't hear her. She wasn't talking. She was just like, fingering. She was telling me, pointing at the guy that he wanted to get his attention. He wanted my attention. And I'm like, how did I know to look up at her and to do that? It's like I sensed that she was signaling me.
Yes. So stuff like that, because we're not cognizant of ourselves and what this vessel is really able to do.
Right.
And that's why that's why we're not doing that. So these things, or how you saying, I forget what you were saying. I guess like the fact that it's there, and people don't, it's definitely being able to just have a strong point of meditation to because when you go out into these and you have been programmed and we already live in it and you're having to break away from it, you're gonna have to have a space of meditation to be able to get the vessel right, to gain courage and gain all its senses back and different things, to be able to maybe go out into the cold and into the wilderness or whatever it takes to or to be able to or whatever it is, because this journey, like that's why I tell people I don't know anything, or it's very egotistical. Knowledge is when you say it's power, it depends on how it's received, and also how it's delivered. Knowledge can make people egotistical. Knowledge has a very egotistical foundation. People go to college to gain knowledge, and then next thing you know, they walking and talking different, and all types of things. They think they know something.
Well, that's if you're not grounded I think
that's
that if
why.
you're
But
not
that's
grounded, like you were talking about, in your energy and knowledge, true knowledge of self, where you can, because I went to college and I graduated, but I don't think that that I don't think education, and I don't think these education systems really do us any justice. It's all about just you inquiring the knowledge yourself.
yeah, you and
So,
going to the source, the true
and
source for
humbly,
information.
humbly, yeah.
Yes.
And what I deal with is I deal with a lot of things I talk about. People might question because I come from the spirit realm. I don't come from just necessarily just books. I come from listening to other people and formulating and spiritually my spiritual awakeness within myself that takes it in and then computes it and comes back out to me in a totally different way than way that person was talking, because it kind of opens up the mind's eye to see something deeper. You see what I'm saying? Am I confusing or is that clear?
No, I understand
Yeah,
exactly
okay.
what you
Okay.
did. And that's why I was saying that knowledge can be is detriment. It can be very detrimental, to somebody who thinks they know something, because it can put a stress on the body, or all types of things. Because and all this whatever,
Right.
and and it's very egotistical. And the body should be looking to rid itself of the ego, all these programs, and I wouldn't look at it to the point of that's a power more than that's a release. So
You got to be careful. Kind of, what are you giving the people what they want to hear, or are you showing them the light? Because sometimes you can give people, a group of people, like I can say that so and so is a racist and racism is the biggest thing to worry about for our people. Yeah, but the truth is, let's get to the heart of it. Let's get to the truth, the facts. Because if you're telling people that, then they're not looking at what the truth is. And somebody can come along and destroy your people because you've had them looking all along at this construct that wasn't necessarily true, but at the same time was valid. But they weren't looking at the other part of it. They weren't looking at the real part of it, because the snake was coming behind them.
That's why it's so dangerous out here right now, because you have a lot of people receiving knowledge who aren't mentally, spiritually. I wouldn't even, I don't believe that every vessel has been spiritually and mentally capable of doing it. Receiving and also delivering knowledge or delivering things. So that's why people who are truly called to do that have to be very sharp, and not sharpen what you know, sharpen how you in your delivery, sharpen the source, the vessel, relaying it straight from the source. You have to be very sharp.
I totally agree.
Other vessels are going to be using outside sources.
Yes, they're using outside sources. An ego, definitely the ego, because right now our problem isn't just racism. It's how racism is being used against a group of people who are trying to get the same thing we want, and we don't see that. We can't see that, and they don't want us to see that, because the best thing for them is to have the problem still. We can resolve our own problems. We don't need Jewish people. We don't need any other kind of people to resolve our own situation. We can resolve our own situation by seeing it through a large spectrum, instead of just focusing on the weakness that they've given us, which is our race. That's been we've had, that they had the power to hold against us, is our race. But we got to question, why is it our race? It's a deeper issue than just the surface of what we look like. It's what we have. And what we have was given to the Caucasian to utilize as the Constitution. And it's sacred, because we are sacred people. but we forsake ourselves by volunteering, like you said, going into these stores instead of having our own. We used to have our own, and when we had our own, we didn't recognize what we had. We had gold, because where they were struggling and were taken over by these foreign entities, we had our own. Now we're looking at people like the Amish, and we're wishing.
Mm-hmm.
We're wishing, because we so much want to make integration work, because we've been given symbolism, and we've been giving icons that say that kind of hold us captive in our minds. And they keep that going. And I'm like, when is it going to end? When the people die out? Because eventually Holocaust got to come to an end. Talk about the Holocaust got to come to an end, because all that's artificial stuff when you really look at the heart of it. So, but they want it to be memorialized. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, but to a certain point, all those people that experienced it eventually is going to die out and go away.
Well, I say this. You use the word race,
right?
And you go back to the Constitution. One of the bases is every man is created equal,
Mm-hmm.
and every human is created equal. But it really is every being is everybody that's being is created equal,
right?
And that seems like a manual for a program, like if you're a machine or something. But it all it's like the word race, is a play on words.
It is, definitely. Yeah.
Because what I'm saying, we aren't a race, we are a people.
Mm-hmm.
And when you bring race into it, even though we all, some of us look different and have different humans, different hues of man.
Mm-hmm.
And my boy was telling me the word human means monster. It's so funny because we looked some etymology up, and I think some years back, and then we did some research on it, and it had some origins of that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, so the people, definitely is definitely that's evident that from vessel to vessel that there is a group of vessels that inhabit this place. And when we all think of things a lot of times, and when I notice I said we all, because a lot of times we're like the statement comes that we are one.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely like make things to where it's like we all kind of want to think the same.
Yes.
Or it's like no matter what it's like no matter what way we're thinking of right now, we think of a people doing a certain thing, and it being for the betterment of what's going on here, and just the basis of things don't really call for that. From even how we enter and exit, or from what's seen, because I believe but from what's seen, it's truly a one vessel show per capita, each person, and I think it goes into, you know, like self-mastery and self-governing. And the more you're able to truly master, and the more the vessel is able to be truly mastered and in sync with, you know, I believe that God will shine through per capita each vessel. And I don't even I don't want to, when a statement of basically like I said, we all thinking on one, you know, whatever. I'm not necessarily looking for an outcome when I'm just looking to continue to move with the source. So whatever the effect is on this realm, may it be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it definitely will be. But it goes back to the Constitution, truly speaking on self-governing. And that's what I went to the 7-Eleven and told the lady, you know, master yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, govern thyself.
Exactly. When I was in the military, I couldn't figure out what it was, but people would, like, not all people, but it would be like select few guys would come and they would try to be the boss of me. And I'm like, who are you? You are not, they were not in my chain of command, nor were they over me, nor were they outrank me either. They didn't outrank me, but they were always coming to me like they wanted this control over me. And I was like, I hated that. I couldn't figure out why. It's just the way they were with me. That's how their energy interacted with me. And you know, I ignored them. Of course, I had every right to ignore them, but because they were probably just trying to get under my skin, you know. So at that time, that's the way I see it. You know, there's always going to be somebody trying to be at your back and tell you what you need to do, but they're not doing what they need to do. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
And,
that's the makeup of this realm of that oppression and slave, and that's why when you go into democracy, truly puts a stamp on slavery. Republic, you know, kind of what's the word? It kind of alleviates it, but it still, you know, comes down to, because, you know, when you think of a people thinking on one accord and somebody having something to do with that, now you got to oppress.
Right.
You know, instead of governing thyself and allowing, you know, whatever, you know, is, you know, going down to go down. So, you know, that's kind of sums up, you know, the ancient, because if you're talking about the sacredness of that, that's it right there. Well, it seems to be. I wouldn't, you know, say, you know, to be where it becomes egotistical. I would love to hear other points, but
somebody was questioning. So if you're saying humans mean etymology monster, and then he's got in quotation, he's got in parentheses Neanderthal.
Tell me he's a smart man.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, I mean, you know, like
he can hear you.
Breaking this down. When we're breaking this all down, you know, that's why it's good to speak from a place of, like, not like, oh, I'm this or I'm that, or just, you know, allow the source to kind of, you know, relay information or deliver information. Because when you put I and ego into it, you know, a lot of messages won't even be able to be. It's like trying to take a doodle. You ain't gonna be you straining and it's like you got to relax. Allow the you know, the source to, you know, use you.
And that came from the indigenous copper tone Christ. That's his screen name. Okay. And and he also said that entertainment / stagnated spirits, stagnated minds, stagnated energies. Yeah.
Entertainment / say this again.
Entertainment / stagnated spirits, stagnated minds, stagnated energies.
Stagnated spirits, stagnated minds, stagnated entertainment.
Yeah, that's the goal. Pretty much is to capture put you in captivity, hold your energy, and suck you, drive your energy, your soul, that's your source. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I make music, and it's getting to the point where I ask people like, well, Bump, if you could rap, how do you speak? Can you even speak?
Yeah.
Like, can you speak and speak from the heart? You can't even speak from the heart. I ain't definitely really trying to hear your music. So that's why I'm, just like I said, getting, I ain't gonna get into me too much, but I know a lot of these artists, and especially I'm talking about some of your top artists. It's a few of them that I feel like have some or whatever, but matter of fact, there are because God uses the vessel,
Yes,
so when you
I
say
agree.
entertainment is different from being able to rap or especially entertainment from that platform, like if we were all out here allowing the vessel to use us rapping, dancing, how we do, people might say, oh yeah, or we all could do it, because then we would realize that we all can do it, on high levels.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying. You're just entertainment. You're entertaining the people, but you should be more than just entertainment. You should be that's why I said when you sing that song, you should live it. Because I hear a lot of I hear this, like this brother singing this song, and I feel it. So I know he lives it. I don't see him in the mainstream media or anything like that. That's why I say I know that this brother that sings this one song, I forgot. I played it on my video. You can probably go through my video and you could probably catch who I was talking about. But you can tell someone who lives the words they sing.
Yeah, when you see all these people that's doing it, it's like almost, because whether you're singing, rapping, or preaching, or speaking, you're a prophet. You're prophesizing. You're being prophetic through the source. So you could be a liar one way or another.
Yeah,
and
deceiver.
When all this music is out here, it's a bunch of liars out here in the music industry and the preaching industry or the politicians or even just walking around talking to each other, just lying.
Exactly.
And I don't mean because and that's why we have to come up with because that's why these profiles that we try to live up to are so difficult too, and because neither one of us as humans can live up to the profile, but we can definitely connect to that. We can definitely be in sync to the source and be connected to the source and come true from there at all times. And that's why that has to be looked to be the thing, because as soon as you start going back into that profile, that's when the trouble starts. That's when the true trouble starts. Is definitely who can live up to a piece of, hey, I'm not at. What are you?
Speaking of that, Elizabeth Taylor, a great person in our lives. She had passed away. I heard yesterday, and let me pull up her picture so we can talk about her a little bit. Remember Elizabeth Taylor? She passed away yesterday. It was shocking to me.
No, I just want to.
No, not Elizabeth Taylor, but I'm got the wrong person. Cicely Tyson. Yes, I'm glad you correct me.
I don't know her though. I just heard her name yesterday. I don't know her, but I know Elizabeth Taylor. That's why I was like, I'm about to
Cicely Tyson.
Is she still alive, Elizabeth Taylor?
No, she passed away too a long time ago. But Cicely Tyson, I correct myself on that. I don't know why I was. I'm going to use this because this is such a gorgeous picture of her, of our sister, of our older. Why do they say temporarily? Can't get it. Hold on, let me fix this. I love this picture. Let me try this one. To commemorate her at this time. And speaking of influences, yeah, I'm glad you corrected me, Indigenous. I had the wrong one. But this is a beautiful, lovely picture of her. Let me get this up here while we talk about her, and I'll share the screen. I'll just let the screen be on her at the moment. Yeah, you see it? You see it? Yeah, so a lovely influence in our lives here in the physical has transitioned on at the age of 96, I think. She lived a long, long, healthy life. And it shows, she's still looked the same. She never changed or got, and it doesn't look like she aged. She aged really beautifully. Um, and it gives a lot of us that encouragement, on how to live. You live well, you can pass on and transition well, you know. But I do think she gave a lot of her energy. But I think that she conserved her energy as well. So that balance is evident in the way she lived. You know what I'm saying? So she has transitioned on to the next level. You know, and from what I hear, successfully. So because she didn't live like the rest of these star people, entertainers, or she wasn't. I don't even call her an entertainer. I call her more of a, because she was such a great. She brought herself forward in her acting. She did her true essence.
What was your favorite piece that she did?
My favorite piece, it's all of it. I can't pick one. She was just a beautiful actress.
I'm not familiar with her work, so give me like something that would be
okay.
more popular.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up because it's been a while. It's been a while. I haven't watched movies.
Oh my gosh, not good.
No, it is good because I'm looking back on my childhood, and she influenced me in my childhood. She was, she's one person that I was like, I think I gravitated to because she was here so long.
Does she have anything that she might have, like, they might have put her in, like, as of recent as the past 15 years? Maybe?
Yeah. Like, she was in Cherish the Day, Madam Secretary, House of Cards, How to Get with
House of Cards. What was that? Wasn't that with the Kevin Spacey?
Yeah, I think so.
That was the show that comes on to come on Netflix, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, the old 70s movies. Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, a lot of old 70s movies I loved her in. Yeah. I say 70s and 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 70s and 80s movies. I'm trying to. She played in some Tyler Perry.
That's what I was saying. I thought I saw her in a Tyler Perry movie. I was trying to.
Yeah, she did. She did. Yeah. Let me see if I can get videos of her. Yeah. Yeah, she was just gorgeous, very beautiful soul. Mm-hmm. But I loved her in the 70s and 80s the most.
Oh yeah,
She was born 1924 and passed in 2021.
The day before that, was the year anniversary of Kobe passing away.
Yeah.
So, how like they always talk these things, but I don't guess all that. But it's because Kobe he had an effect. Unlike they said that he's mentioned in more rap songs than any other basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying that since him passing, more people have basically encapsulated his energy. Isn't that something strange? Because let me let you know something about him. Growing up, he was the one person that I could say that I truly looked up to. I'm talking about like to the point where people, you know, like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Not like, I'm talking about when I mean I truly, excuse me, I wouldn't say I truly, I'm talking about very similar. You know what I'm saying? Like very, like to the point where I admire him as a player, but I think I admired him only because he mirrored me, and I don't mind working hard. I like it's things that I don't like. I look at it like, yeah, it's one thing to be blessed with God-given ability and talent and all that, but it's the second thing to have that. It's the thing to have that drive.
Exactly.
And that right there is what, because you see how I live. You told you about the entrepreneurship. So
right.
The drive. You know, understand that this is, so when I see everybody, all of that, what I'm saying, but then not give this man his flowers while he was here. It kind of, because people are really using his energy, really, I'm talking about really, like going in like, yo, Kobe. And I get it, because it was always that. But the fact that, and that lets me know something's just like, that's the Jesus effect. But I will let you know a statement that this guy made before he passed away. He said, my mark here is to inspire people. It's basically what he said. He said, bump all this, that, and the third. It's about how you inspire people. And he was looking to, that's another, so him passing on, after making that statement, seems very convenient. A lot of the greats that they put on those platforms passed away after making very, very, direct and clear
statements.
You almost say, spiritual statements, like Kobe said, I'm looking to affect from the spirituality standpoint. I'm wanting to inspire, so that's a thankless job. That's a selfless job right there.
It is. Yeah. Definitely.
So Cicely Tyson in her own right, like how, I know she had her ways of inspiring, people.
And she didn't get caught up like the two, like the Hollywood people, got caught up and wanted expectations with other people and just didn't have that down to earth. They're pretty much ones that you were telling me about were unearthed. They weren't connected to reality. Like she was very connected to reality.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I didn't know too much, but you brought up Elizabeth Taylor. It's so funny. Is that her name, Elizabeth Taylor?
No, Cicely Tyson.
No, I know, but you brought up the other lady.
Elizabeth Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's her name. But look, she Kim Kardashian just made a statement, because I don't know too much, about her either. As far why I know Michael Jackson. I know it doesn't matter, but basically she made a statement, because I guess and this I don't know, but this I've heard that she had a lot of husbands.
Oh, so, she did.
Yeah. So Kim K makes a statement that she wants to embody the spirit or the energy of Elizabeth Taylor, and this is as she's supposedly it's in the news that she's getting ready to divorce Kanye. This would be her like fourth husband.
Yeah.
So you gotta.
Oh, really? Crazy. She was married before? I didn't know that.
Well, Kim K, she's married to like who was she married to? I don't want to make it about that, but yeah, she's Kanye, the basketball player, somebody else, I believe, or was she married to those people? I think she got married to like one other person between Kanye West and the basketball player. I forget who though. I'm not really. It was somebody.
Oh, I didn't know all that.
Yeah, like, and she's supposed to be divorcing him now, and even the fact that she said that she wants to embody that, I know he probably wish he would have known that before he talked to her.
Yeah, well, he should have known that before he talked to her, because she's not his Black counterpart at all. You know,
Yeah.
you should. I firmly believe that. I firmly know for a fact that we should stick with our own.
Oh yeah,
Because
she's
it's a
very
whole different energy realm. That's why people are different. That's she. You know, she comes from a lower energy realm than
yes.
Kanye. So she's gonna be a succubus to his energy. And that's why these black men are going crazy, because their energy has been drained
Mm.
from them
Mm.
and into these entities.
She put that G out there like that.
Well, it's
And
the
then-
fact. I mean, because
Yeah,
what do?
okay.
You produce confused
But can I
children.
hold on?
You
Can I
you
interject?
produce children that are confused and off balance.
Let me interject, but then what projects, as I interject, what projects down onto the masses that see this from a high platform is our women acting like this, because now, you know, like you said, the women want to have blonde hair, you know, the Kim Kardashian, you know, and then they're going to act like that. So they're draining men, and then, like you said, men are going, you know, basically crazy while they're with them, and, you know, out, and that's why, you know.
Well, the black woman, she drains his energy physically, but he usually spiritually gets energy. Y'all get energy from the black woman, right? Y'all,
Yeah.
That's who y'all get energized from. But she physically, mentally drains him with taking on a false identity of the white woman.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that's how we affect the black man. But that's all induced in this society for us to take on those identities that are put forward in the media and the TV and the programming and the education all play a part in that.
Yeah.
But don't take responsibility. But when a man like Trump comes along, they want to accuse him of everything. But really, they don't look in the mirror and see what the problem really is.
Well, I say when it comes down to like the whole makeup of it, you know, it's a people, it's definitely a people thing. But I definitely like how you put that, because you know, I just you know, I could pray for him in a situation and just hope that, you know, that it all that his energy is, because what's going to happen if you know, is he may become like a host, and he may feel like he needs her, and then he may become crazy, you know, and trying to keep her and all that type of stuff.
But he was crazy being with her.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So like, you just said he might, if she leaves him or this, that, and a third, you like, they go crazy.
What do you mean go crazy? I don't think he'll go crazy. I think it'd be the best thing for him is to separate.
I mean, yeah, spiritually.
Like for us, it's the best thing for us, also for our energy that's been drained, and society as a whole for Black folks, is to be separated. But they don't want that. You know, they want us to be under the democracy and take on the capitalism and not be a republic.
That's what I'm getting at with Kanye. Is basically saying like he needs to, and that's the best thing for him. But he could be sick to want to be into it. You know, like people are. People need to be separated. People need their space and, you know, their oneness to be able to, you know, truly, you know, please, you know, the source. But they're, you know, wanting to be into the Roman program.
Exactly.
You get the word Rome, you know, etymology, you know, what does it mean to roam around? You know,
exactly, to roam around, because before Rome was Rome, it was set. It was actually a place that was harmony and harmony. There was no liberal, there was no this two-minded people. It was pretty much balanced. It was a place of harmony, a place of balance, because they think Egypt was bondage, but that's why they call they call it bondage, because it was a place where you can be balanced and healthy But then they made it Egypt by bringing in all this other mess. And Egypt was easily conquered, you know. So was it became Rome because, like you said, we wandered off, we roamed off. So,
Yeah.
from our nature, I decided to roam into the 7-Eleven.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was roaming around. Didn't have it at the crib, or didn't have it,
Yeah.
on
In the
counter.
settlement. We didn't have it in a village or a settlement where we could govern ourselves. So, well, I'm going to kind of cut it short. Well, bring it to an end. I wouldn't say cut it short because I think that's good here, and commemorating our dear elder, Cicely Tyson, who has been a great influencer and inspiration to our generation. And I'd say people like her is what makes our generation special. I want to say that. And unique.
Well, it's been, I was gonna say it's been a wonder. I appreciate you having me onto your platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good to deliver messages and be used by the source. So I can leave it there as well.
Yeah, I really appreciate you agreeing to come on, because I can't get everybody to agree to come on. Like my cousin, I have one cousin. She came on a little bit, but then she left. So, but I love when people interact and come on here. I welcome.
Well, send me make sure you send me the link so I can go back and listen, or even allow others to, because I feel like we cover some key points, some very vital points that that could it's not, like I said, being used by the source. So let it be after that. So
exactly.
Just when somebody listens to it after that, let it be.
Yes, we got to put it to work. Our thoughts make them come to life. Like someone earlier was saying, we do a lot of talking, but our people don't move. I want to know, he said, I want to know when our people are going to show actions with their words. We've been talking for 80 years and nothing has changed. People get tired of the BS. Sound Mind. Yeah, that's from Sound Mind. I agree.
What is meant by, the meaning of action is always that, that there it goes on, the action is govern thyself, master yourself. That's the true action. When you do that, things around, and it just things around you, it's like I look to talk to my friends, I look to take action, to be the center third, but being the true example is going to be the testament, being the true, being the true example will be the testament, and if the quote unquote word that people, get to use is, but being the one, I'll say that.
And Jay, do you have a way that the people can get it? Oh, do you want to talk about some of the stuff that you have available, books and stuff?
Not necessarily. Because,
okay.
The being, able to relate from the source is most enough. So when people, you can definitely catch me. Look at the word roaming around. But no, I don't roam. I travel. My the vessel travels in different areas in Newport News, Hampton, the 7 cities, Virginia Beach, just all around the world. The whole plane, all over the world. Just connecting people with the way we just connected. So if you meet me, it's a great chance. If you've heard this, you'll know. It's a good chance you'll know you're in contact.
Yeah, and tell people your name.
Oh yeah, the name is Jay Gibbs.
Okay.
Jay Gibbs. Yeah, that's me.
Jay Gibbs. Yeah.
So and the name of this platform as well.
I'm Lightbearer. That's
Light,
my
yeah,
screen name.
light bearer.
Yeah,
light
Lightbearer.
bearer. So I saw.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely send you this link so that you can have it. So
Yeah, but no, but if you don't, you can also remember me, you know, as one, you know, as ether,
mm-hmm.
you know, however you want to, you know, but in this, but because that name thing is, you know, these are things that's that, but you know, the vessel is the vessel, you know, so
right.
you know, you can pretty much scratch that off, but you know.
Yeah. So you have anything else you want to comment on before we close out?
If you're okay, you know, it's your platform. So if you're okay with where we're at, where the meeting is adjourned.
Yeah, because we've been on a long time now. So yeah. So with that said, I usually end it with true love, real peace, our higher self within, our souls, which we need to connect with and know thyself from inside, the truth self and the natural self, so that we can be guided by our higher self. Because it's our higher self that holds all the answers to everything for us. And without consulting it and going within ourselves on issues that are conflicting to us on the outside, then we're going to be conflicted. We're going to be troubled and we're going to be struggling. But it's not the God outside of us, but it's what's inside of us that is higher than who we are as, you know, the living, breathing person physically here. And with that said, peace and love until next time, people.
All right.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Okay.